You gonna play that dastardly intro again?
This movie's still fine.
There's a collie pasta.
One of them dies, that guy's screw. One of them's a hottie, his name is Jay. One of them looks like Johnny Depp, and his name is Johnny Depp.
Classic Maximum Joseph.
You forget that films are supposed to have a point.
Hello, welcome along to the worst idea of all time. Season 3, Episode 4. A huge thank you to Christopher Brown.
Once again, the real MVP, Chris Brown. Maximum Brown.
Yeah, it's good fun.
Oh, it's good every time. How you doing? How you living out there? Not you, Guy. Everyone else. Good.
Yeah, I'll speak on behalf of them. They're all doing well.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. My name's Timbo, and I just watched We Are Your Friends. What's your name? What'd you do?
Exactly the same thing.
Yes.
My name is Trifinius. So much to talk about.
The first thing we got to get right up the top is the fact that this episode is brought to you by Big Pipe Broadband. BigPipe.co.nz is where you go to get their goodies. If you're in New Zealand, you're in luck. You have access to the world's greatest internet service provider.
If you are outside of New Zealand, continue listening to this part of the podcast because we're about to tell you about a real cool fact. In New Zealand, we've got this great broadband provider called Big Pipe, and a lot of other broadband providers in New Zealand have they're what we call pro throttling.
Yes.
Prottling, where they'll come around and they'll either prod you with a cattle prod, a fiery, soldering hot cattle prod, or they'll throttle you with their hands. But Big Pipe have got a no-nonsense approach to this sort of stuff. They say, no thanks, that's not our policy. And they're the only internet provider to actually have that written into their contracts, no throttling. So
here's some actual testimonials. I've just gone on their website. Do you want some?
what was wrong with my testimonial?
Oh, we're not done.
Nah.
Sorry.
I am done. I just thought it was enough.
Been awesome, and I'm pleased with my service, writes William Tong 11 days ago. Setting up a connection was simple and straightforward. The speed on fibre is amazing too. Thanks, Marvin Stewart, also 11 days ago.
Sounds like Big Pipe just built a bot 11 days ago.
I would have thought that their punctuation could be a little better if it was a bot then. Yeah, go to bigpipe.co.nz, get your internet.
These people
there.
were so excited by the internet service they were being provided, they just stopped caring about punctuation. They just had to get the message out. It didn't matter how it looked.
Now, the second thing I want to address is actually kind of unrelated to the movie, but I'm pretty sure Guy and I just saw a meteor flying through the sky.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's a sign that we're doing the right thing in the same way that the wise men saw a star, because they were kind of like, why do we keep hanging out together? Why is it always the four of us?
Do you know what my
Three of us.
thought was? There was a fourth one who didn't make it. He got lost. I mean, they were only following a star.
What was his gift?
It was an incense holder.
Oh, that makes so much fucking sense.
Yeah, I know. It would have
'Cause where are you
provided
gonna put the frankincense?
would have provided a lot of context. Frankincense, also, funnily enough, the name of the guy carrying frankincense.
Frank Incense.
Yeah, his parents had a real sense of humor.
Do you know the guy who was carrying myrrh? That's actually a common misconception. He was a stand-up comedian. He was bringing mirth. But everyone it got
He had a
kind
speech
of
impediment.
mistranslated in the Bible incorrectly and stuff. Anyway, sorry, you were saying?
Well, I don't know. I think we were taking some serious flights of fancy when watching the movie this week, Tim. We were having a lot of fun imagining different things that could have happened.
Yeah, different things that did happen.
And I think that somewhere along the way, my brain went a little bit off the rails, or just I was living in a very elevated cinematic reality. And when I saw what is presumably a meteor go flying past, it's like, that's either a shooting star or it's bigger than that. I didn't think meteor.
Well,
and I watched it go
come in.
like I watched it go
atmosphere.
flying until it was out of our eyesight, like beneath the horizon or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like waiting for the feel or sound of impact. I was like,
So was I, man.
there's a plane or there's something from the skies and it's going down.
That's why I paused the movie ever so briefly, because I was like, fuck, man. This ain't good. Or at least to see the power go out, but everything's all hunky-dory. That's the thing with meteors. I think they pass through the atmosphere quite regularly, and they look very dramatic, but they don't do anything. Nothing.
A meteor's surely done something before.
Oh, yeah.
What's the plot of Armageddon? Is that an asteroid?
Yeah. I think the only difference between the two is size, and it's definitely an asteroid.
Where does a comet fit into that?
Well, a comet never enters the atmosphere, I don't think. That's just a body with a tail that you see in the outer spaces, isn't it?
A body with a tail.
Yeah, you know, an astral body with a tail, like a ghost. A lot of ghost talk this week. Actually, do you know what we need to do? We need to take 3 steps backwards because I was on the subreddit the other day, r/TWIOAT for those curious, and they were saying they've got no idea what happens in the movie, and we're up to episode 4. We've got to attempt at least a semblance of a blow-by-blow of the plot, which I thought we had covered, but I guess maybe we'd skipped over.
I don't know how simple I can make it for you idiots. There's 4 guys. They all live in the valley.
Go beat by beat.
There's so many beats, and there's so much more exciting stuff to talk about.
What's the... Okay. Well, we'll try and do it in 5 minutes, okay?
Okay.
Whole movie. So we open on our favorite fuckboys hanging out, being explained to us the geography and importance of the San Fernando Valley, where it is, what it does, how to get the best sushi in the Western Hemisphere. Then
that's all conjecture.
The boys are getting ready for a night on the piss.
They're all real excited to be promoting and for Zaccoli to be DJing the side room at like some mediocre electronic dance music club in the valley. They're like,
no, I think that's in proper LA. I think that's like downtown, isn't it? They live in the valley. James Reed wouldn't be caught dead DJing at a club in the valley.
No, you're probably right, actually. Yeah, and they do talk about getting taxis back from Silver Lake.
They go to... So the kind of opening thing is they're in a college, they're flying out, they're very pumped up about getting people to come because they get paid per the amount of people that they bring into the club.
They get paid $5 a head.
Yeah, which is pretty fucking good.
They're like cattle. They work hard to promote the gig, though.
They do. And so then we're getting drunk, then we're going to the gig in Squirrel's mom's station wagon.
And what we know, before we know all of this, like we know that these boys have got a lot riding on the success of Zaccoli, and Zaccoli's probably the most ambitious out of all of them. He wants to be a big DJ. He's got a very aggressive friend called Jarhead, who is a huge advocate and proponent of this idea and sort of champions it to people who aren't necessarily interested in listening. And just by virtue of being at the same gig, James Reed, superstar DJ, and Zaccoli wind up smoking some weed together and taking some PCP outside the club and going to a party. Zaccoli wakes up at James Reed's house. James Reed's like, last night you were talking a lot of shit about how good you are at DJing, play me some music. And Zaccoli's like, okay. He plays that, and James Reed's like, no, it's not very good. And then it's also, James Reed's dating Emily Ratajkowski. I'll get it right one day. And she drops off Zaccoli, and then they begin a working relationship, James Reed and Zaccoli. A love triangle ensues. Zaccoli becomes a massive superstar.
That's pretty good, man. And you got time to burn, baby.
Yeah.
Great. That's essentially it. The only major plot point you missed, which is an easy one, is that midway through the boys get a job at a real estate firm, which they don't realize it at the time, but it's this predatory establishment where a guy called Paige is in charge, and he's mates with Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp is in the fuckboy quad. He's a drug dealer, but he's cool, so don't worry about it.
He wants to be an actor.
So he manages to get them all a job at Paige's outfit, and what they're doing is they're actually preying on people whose banks are foreclosing on their houses because they couldn't keep up with mortgage payments, and then they swoop in and offer them like pennies on the dollar for what their house is worth because they're getting evicted anyway. So they can either end up with nothing if the bank forecloses on them outright, or they can take like a $20,000 check from Paige.
Yeah, and Paige is kind of pivoted through the story. He's not a good guy. He's captain of the...
but he's not bad enough to be a real bad guy either.
Oh, he's a pretty bad guy, though. He's captain of the softball team. He's social captain at the office, yeah.
Is he really?
That's why he's swinging around that softball bat the whole time he's giving that speech.
See, I thought that was kind of a menacing prop that
that's why the speech is quite efficient and punchy, because he's like, look, anyway, welcome to the jungle, boys.
I got to get back out on that diamond.
I got to get back out on the diamond.
Yeah. Fair enough, too.
Bottom of the 8th. I shouldn't have left. I'm going to get fired as captain.
Bases are loaded, and so am I. I like to drink PCP while I play.
lot of PCP in this movie.
Every second person's on PCP.
Also, for our New Zealand listeners and any fans of like early 2000s New Zealand guitar rock, you'll notice that the name of the superstar DJ in the movie, James Reed, is also the name of the frontman, presumably predominant songwriter of very popular New Zealand,
Hugely successful
and popular New Zealand rock band, The Feelers.
Now, this is quite
the
funny.
spelling's different.
That it took us 4 goes for you. It was kind of in the back recesses of my mind that it was a familiar name, but you were like, that's why this is funny. He's got the same name as the frontman from The Feelers, who, a storied history and quite a figure of folklore in certain New Zealand circles for a few reasons. I think, had periods of being pretty good at drinking and then pretty bad.
It's like they
on tour.
They drew inspiration for the DJ character James Reed from the real James Reed. If I was a lawyer, I would be calling up James Reed of The Feelers right now and saying, we've got a case for defamation.
Fuck, imagine that. If James Reed from New Zealand from The Feelers tried to sue this Zac Efron vehicle for defamation. Fuck, that'd be good. I would bankroll that if I had any money.
What a
Big plans,
brilliant
big
thing
lofty
to
plans.
invest in that would be.
But you get to the 4th watch and you start noticing things you didn't notice the first time.
That was one of them.
What? The softball.
The James Reed thing.
Oh, the James Reed thing, yeah, and the softball angle. And also, James Reed gives Zaccoli a speech when he finds out that Zaccoli has had sex with his assistant/girlfriend.
That's part of the love triangle unfurling for those of you who are struggling to keep up with reference points.
It's about at the 2/3 mark. It's the sort of the all is lost moment of the film. But we had kind of glossed over how serious what he says in that bathroom brawl is. Because first he totally decks Zaccoli, just fucking lays him out. And,
and also Zaccoli has had sex with his girlfriend. And also, I think the reason that he gets beat up so badly is less about that and more about just the idiocy. And I can't emphasize this enough. I'll probably mention it every week. Having a one-night stand with someone who you're friends with's girlfriend and having a cute photo of yourself, you two. And then,
first of all, don't take the selfie.
Don't take photos.
But if you're gonna, put it somewhere safe.
And we're not trying to lay out a game plan for how... For anyone, for how to be a dastardly human being. But just, this is basic stuff. Don't take photos and then store them as the photo for when someone calls you. Like, especially if you hang out with this dude all the time. And if you do that, have the fucking brains about you to keep your phone in your pocket. Never leave it on the table when you go to the bathroom in a one-on-one interaction with the person you've betrayed.
Unless you're looking for a plot device in your own life. And in which case, you should follow all the steps Zaccoli did.
That's right. Or even not in your own life, but if you're writing a movie and you're struggling to create conflict between these characters living in a...
I am at maximum, Joseph. There is no more to give. I've had it up to my eyeballs and myself. This is the only plot device I can come up with.
There are a few moments watching the movie this week where I felt like Maximum Joseph maybe wasn't so Maximum Joseph after all. Maybe he was more medium to minimum Joseph. Just a few... the fourth watch plot holes or gaffes, embarrassing gaffes. Huge embarrassing wardrobe gaff. They all go to a music festival in Las Vegas, and some poor lackey down in the wardrobe department has accidentally slapped a LA singlet on Zac Efron in Las Vegas. I mean,
bam, minimum Joseph.
What a boo-boo. Anyway, and Maximum Joseph's just been like, well, no one's probably going to notice that. We'll just have him partying in Las Vegas in this LA singlet the whole time. Guess what? You didn't anticipate him watching this movie 4 times, did you, motherfucker? I see through you.
Gotcha, Maximum Joseph. I can't think of a single other thing. This movie is literally perfect. Does anything come to mind for you?
There was... some missed opportunities. Well, we did talk at the end about... So when Zac Efron, there's a lot of conversation to try and embed the movie and sort of or imbue it with integrity, specific to the music that's being created, because it's it is meant to be about, his passion and love of creating electronic dance music.
Yes, sir.
And so Him and James Reed have a few conversations where James Reed's like, imitation is suicide. You got to have a natural, organic sound, and like starts showing him instruments. And by the way, I think I spotted another improvised scene between. I think
We'll add it to the pile.
Yeah, I think it's called the weekly improvisation, and I think a few of these scenes were clearly improvised. And this one, a lot of it was cut. God knows why. But an improvised conversation between Zaccoli and James Reed about different things that David Bowie did as a musician. I think also to try and lend it a sense of musical integrity.
It starts off because it's the scene where James Reed takes Zaccoli into his studio in his house, and he's got all these crazy instruments. Like he's got a Wurlitzer keyboard. Do you call it a keyboard? Like an electric piano. I don't know what the technical. And then they bust out some weird, like proto-synth instrument, the name of which I can't remember. And then Zaccoli's like, David Bowie used one of these in Space Oddity. To which all of us 19-year-olds in the audience are supposed to go, whoa, Zaccoli knows his fucking shit, bruh.
But to which James...
That is a deep cut.
Yeah, to which James,
David Bowie, that like far-flung fringe artist that my parents listen to because they're super hip. Oh, damn. And that lesser-known B-side of his Space Oddity. Wow.
Turn on a whole new generation of Bowie listeners.
What a knowledgeable dude.
But James Reed, being the improviser he is, returns the volley to Zaccoli and says, yes, and David Bowie painted a lightning bolt on his face at one point in his music career. And Zaccoli goes,
yes, and did you know that David Bowie isn't his real birth name?
Yes.
His name is Davy Jones.
And do you know that Space Oddity wasn't the only time he sang about space? And the scene just goes on, and for whatever reason, Maximum Joseph was feeling pretty minimum when he was in the edit room because he cut all that for time.
There's a lot of good stuff that got lost on the cutting room floor here.
Yeah. And some garbage that's stayed in. But the original point I was going to make is, so they're trying to sort of speak to how badly Zac Efron wants to make this song, which is going to speak to everyone. And a lot of it is he starts noticing things happening in his real life that he can record and put into a song. It's like, and that's what means stuff to him. And at one point he's going for a run, and this is towards the end or the climax of the film, and his phone dies, and suddenly he starts hearing everything around him, the crackle of the electric wires above him, or the birds, or his friend putting a nail gun in the roof.
Or a helicopter.
And he records all of them on his phone. And then he's like, oh, that's what he means. That's the song I have to make. And go home and, like, in this wave of inspiration, slaps the whole song together. And I think the reason that the song fails so badly at the end of the movie is it needed a tight edit.
Well, that's a very generous interpretation of what the song needed. I think the whole thing is garbage. That whole track at the end. Because the movie glides by on being an okay film. And if that track had been awesome, like, you know, you could have been looking at a solid 64% Rotten Tomatoes, I reckon.
Rotos.
64 rotos out of 100. But they really flubbed it on that track, which is what everything's leading to. And you just left going,
But the thing is, Zac Efron does a good job of catching, like, of acting out the feeling of being inspired and how excited he is to put it all together.
Yeah.
But the thing is, because I've been inspired before, and I'm sure you have as well, and sometimes you get super inspired and you write all the stuff down, or you put it...
You paint it.
Yeah, you put it in whatever filing system it is.
I'm a gifted painter.
And then what you do is you sleep on it and you come back to it the next day and you're like, oh, it's a shame. Like, I'm sure I was onto something, but that is...
And that didn't happen.
That is an absolute crime scene.
He slapped some art together in his laptop, which consisted of a recording of a coin turning on a table, his mate giving him some pretty mediocre advice, which means nothing to anyone. It's only significant to him because he died. Squirrel died. So there's a sample of that. A voice message from Sophie, who's out of her head on drugs at the time. What else we got in there? A fucking shoddily put together electrical grid, which, if anything, is just a symbol of the crumbling infrastructure of America. Like, the whole thing, if it means anything to anyone, is just about how we fail all the time.
The anthemic verbal hook for the song is a quote from Squirrel in sort of a quite a blue conversation they're having at a sushi restaurant where he says,
Not sexually blue. Blue
Yeah.
is in depressing.
he says, "Are we ever going to be better than this?" And let me tell you, Tim, if I was a music critic at the festival,
Yeah.
I'll tell you what the headline of my review of the festival, or specifically Zaccoli's set, would be in bold, "Are we ever going to be better than this? I sure hope so." And then in the review, it would contain the words self-indulgent.
Slammed.
Absolutely hammered, yeah.
And you would throw that into Noisy, Vice's little sub music site, if memory serves.
Yes.
Collect your $7 paycheck from them, and now you're a blogger, mate.
That's
And
right.
now we're going to make a movie about you. Let the circle jerk continue.
There's another thing I wanted to remind you of, Tim, which was that you had a wave of inspiration during the film that you think a really good band name would be.
Yeah. Hold on. I'll see if I can remember it, because it's just based entirely on the line that James Reed says to Zaccoli. Something bodies. I'm not going to remember it. What is it?
Janky Rig and the Gyrating Tweens.
Yeah, because he buys them James Reed buys Zaccoli a MacBook. Jesus, you're right. You just smashed your elbow onto the wall with excitement.
I had an idea for...
Yeah, but is your arm okay, Dad?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm brave. Big boy.
Okay.
I had an idea for a weekly segment at this moment, by the way, in the
Okay.
film. It's called Getting Sentimental with James Reed.
Please tell me more.
The line in the...
Hold on, I'll finish my thought first. So he buys him a MacBook, and he says, I couldn't deal with the image of you with that janky rig in front of all those gyrating tweens. And I'm like, that's killer name for a music duo. Janky rig.
There's a few whippersnapper lines of dialogue that come through in the film. But yeah, the notion for getting sentimental with James Reed, and you have power of veto on this, is James.
Can you make up a sting for it verbally on the spot? I'm going to try and hit a button. Can you go?
Getting sentimental.
Oh, wait. Try it again.
Getting sentimental with James Reed.
The button thing didn't work, but you sounded great.
Thanks. So pretty much he comes into the room and he says, I may have gotten a little sentimental. And he's carrying a plastic bag with a box inside of it.
Yeah.
And this week, what I thought was inside the box, when he said,
The box, which on the outside has a picture of a MacBook, and says MacBook on it, and the Apple logo.
This is what makes it so precious and so sentimental. So he walked in and he said, I may have gotten a little sentimental, and hands him an Apple bag with a MacBook Pro box inside it, knowing full well how much he wants a new MacBook Pro. And then he opens it and he says, it's my hair. And it's just full of different bits of hair that he's chopped off and put in a box.
That's not right, mate. That is not right.
And each week we could say what sentimental gesture we think James Reed has made towards Zaccoli.
Don't know if that one's going to stay with us, or much like the meteor we saw this evening, die in a flash of brilliance against the atmosphere, which is episode number 4.
You wish it was episode number 6. You greedy fucking bastard.
It really, I tell you what, the gears are starting to slow down a little bit now, because it got to what bit of the movie was it where I flicked on to see the timeline to see where we were up to? And
it was between 1/3 and 1/2 of the movie. Time slowed down.
I can't remember what the scene was, but hey,
I think it was
chances to catch
after
this.
Zaccoli's homophobic gear had bombed at the Stanford party.
I think it was the like when they first get to the Stanford party, actually.
No, it's after
It's after that.
It's after that joke tanks and they're looking out over the city.
That's a well shot.
A lot of the movie's well shot.
It's really good. It's a tight. It's kind of a 2-shot on them, but sort of silhouetted. And then because they're on the sort of crest of a they're on a hill. Yeah. And they're looking out against other hills on the other side, and all the lights are kind of in soft focus. I think it's called Moray or something.
It reminded me of I have once sat on a hill above like a flat expanse of land of city in Christchurch.
Mm-hmm. What hill were you on?
I was in the Port Hills.
Oh, that makes sense.
Looking down over
the Canterbury Plains.
Oh no, the lights, like the lights of the twinkling lights of Christchurch.
Underneath all that smog.
But and in a wave of inspiration, my friends and I envisioned all of the lights as they were in the Los Angeles shot, the Moray shot that you like so much. I like that, but because I'd had some weed and I'd only just discovered how much fun it is to smoke weed, I thought that all of the lights made really crude formations of dicks, and that the civic planners from years ago who had plotted the lights of Christchurch had Liz put like a crude outline of a dick on every block. And I was like, wow, that's awesome.
Good on you, Christchurch.
Yeah.
You're a young city, and I mean that in all senses of the word, because people had dicks everywhere.
Yeah.
You're like a little 11-year-old with a vivid.
It's vintage.
Yeah.
You have a shining light?
Yeah, I had a couple. I'm trying to remember what they were. Oh, I know what it was. It was when Zaccoli comes to the outside of the club and he's smoking a spliff and he sees James Dean read. Not James Dean, though. That would be freaky and kind of awesome. But he sees James oh, fuck. He sees James Reed instead. That's sticking around. That's in my head now, so that's not going anywhere. And he says to James Reed, "Do you smoke?" And James Reed just says, "Yes, I do." And he says it just like that. I think I actually nailed that intonation.
Do a very good job.
And I just really like his delivery on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's everything that the Johnny Depp character is supposed to be in this movie. But we don't. He says like half of one syllable in each scene, so we don't get enough time to flesh him out. James Reed, on the other
mostly
hand,
just sells drugs.
Yeah.
And wrests control of the deeds to people's houses from them.
What is up with Johnny Depp shaving his moustache off?
He probably booked another gig, because you know how they shoot all movies chronologically?
Yeah.
He probably booked another gig
Yeah.
and was like, hey, we're about to wrap on this. I've really got to...
There's two bits of the movie where they go to great pains to explain someone's face, what's going on with their face, and it never comes back. And the first is right in the opening, where Zac Efron has to tell you where he got his scar that's on his right eyebrow, that he got into a fight. That's right up top. And then when our man Johnny Depp's facial hair changes, that gets addressed in some dialogue as well. I don't fucking even pay attention to what he looked like the first time I saw him.
You wouldn't have known.
Wouldn't have known at all. And even if I did, I'd be like, oh, he fucking had a shave. All right. But they do this big song and dance about it.
It's called dialogue.
No, but
if your
dialogue is supposed to be for a reason.
But
in a movie, it's supposed to mean something. There's supposed to be some symbolism.
It was for realism. If you were with your friend and that you were picking them up in the car and they were coming down to get in the car and they'd like done something drastic to change the look of their face, someone that you see every day, you'd be like, hey, that thing on your face has changed.
So then the point of it in the film would be to kind of build this friendship, this relationship, right?
Well, because it's before they have a big fight.
I guess so.
Maybe he doesn't like him without the mustache.
Well, fuck, I don't know. I feel like there's better ways of doing that than shaving the dude's face and then talking about it. I think what they tried to do, and I reckon this got lost in the edit, is it was kind of like, because they mention how he's wearing a leather jacket in the summer, early on in the movie. So he's established as a cool guy. Like, if anyone's actually James Dean, it's fucking Johnny Depp. So later, I think what's happening is he's falling deeper into the corporate cesspit of Page's emporium of vulture debt deals. It's a symbol of that. It's supposed to be like he's gone from this uber cool dude who wears leather jackets in the summertime and has a goatee to a fucking sellout who wears a shirt and shaves his goddamn face. I reckon that's what it's supposed to be. But there's not enough there for you to get that unless you've watched it 4 times and are trying to assemble some meaning.
Yeah. I can't disagree with any of the points you made then.
I'm spitballing.
You did good.
Throwing it out there. What was your shining light?
My shining light was a beautiful piece of foreshadowing that I hadn't noticed previously. Another fourth watch find, or hashtag FWF. When Zac Efron is saying sorry, this is different. There's a funny thing.
So many good moments.
Yeah, so many moments. But no, the thing was at one point, and you barely see it when they're driving in the car at the start of the movie. They drive past a billboard that has the design and logo for like a Summerfest billboard, and it's like only half the billboard. It's only in frame for about a second, maybe. And I saw it, and I was like, "Oh wow!" I mean, they've absolutely fluffed it because no one would notice that, but they're really making a thing of Summerfest existing.
I guess that's the thing of the difference between like a director of photography and an editor and what can get lost in between them. Because the DOP, I bet, was like, fuck, this is going to pay dividends. This is a good shot. And we're like alluding to what's happening later in the movie. I'm a fucking genius. And the editor's just been like, oh, I don't know, fucking, we need to tighten this up. What's that? What's that shit billboard? We only need that for a split second.
Yeah, that's ugly. Who did the design on that? What is Summerfest? That's a terrible name for a festival. And then someone's like, no.
It's a real festival, dude.
And the name of that festival is Maximum Joseph's Baby. He spent hours working on that exact title for the festival.
He was cooking on that. He drank a whole bunch of PCP and then he ran over to his brand new MacBook that his mentor had given him. Who would Maximum Joseph's mentor be? Steven Spielberg. Probably. Known for his adventures in reality television and social commentary.
Known for both of those things.
Indiana Jones, the portrait of an archaeologist.
Yeah,
was a beautiful film
right.
series.
Actually, no, I read an interview with Max Joseph last week, and in it he was talking about mentorship and how after he released Catfish, Steven Spielberg sent him a box, like a MacBook Pro box, and it was just filled with all of his like nails, like his toenails.
Real Howard Hughes style.
Kept them in a jar. And he poured them onto a MacBook Pro box and sent it to him. So that sort of checks out.
With a card that said, I may have gotten a little sentimental. Yours truly, Steven Spielberg.
And also inside the box was a copy of Super System, a great city by the Feelers. The Feelers of emotion.
You said that in the way that you're supposed to deliver The Aristocrats. I think the end of that joke. The Feelers.
But the other thing I wanted to say before how long have we been talking for?
Half hour.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, everyone, I don't know did I mention this on the friend zone?
What?
Oh yeah, I did.
I don't know what you're about to say.
Oh well, I was just thinking because
the nature of this podcast, guys, that I have no idea what is about to come out of your mouth at any given moment.
I just remembered it's quite late at night. I've got a flight. I've got to leave in the morning, and I've got all of my underwear trapped.
Oh yeah. We did talk about that in the friend zone. So since you joined us last, there's been a whole movie in the way, and as far as we know, the underwear is unchanged. It is still sitting in that. Is it dried at least, or is it?
Well, it doesn't smell like it's dried. Like my flatmate, very good friend of mine called Oscar, said,
a lovely boy.
When I moved in, he was like, "Hey man, just so you know, like it says washer dryer." But I don't know that the dryer function works. Like, I don't really use it. And I was like, yeah, whatever. And sort of abided that. And then tonight when I was like, I couldn't bother going to the laundromat, I was like, I'll try and use the dryer function. And I've discovered why you're not meant to, because it traps. There's like some weird gremlin who lives in there who loves feasting on damp socks and undies.
Walk me through the machinery.
Clean, but damp.
How is it that you can't open the door?
It's a front loader.
Yeah. So has it got like a locking mechanism on it?
Yeah. So it's got like, doesn't come out from the handle heaps, but inside the center right hand part of the handle, like of the what is it, circumference of the circle, there's like a little button that you push in which opens the door, but you push it and nothing happens. It's like still rigid shut. And then I mean beyond that,
you've tried jimmying the thing.
I've put it on different cycles so that it would be like try and reset it out of drying mode. Yeah. I've unplugged it and plugged it back in. Someone on Twitter told me to do that.
See, you would think that Samsung in all their wisdom would have a thing where if you pulled it out of the wall, it would like unlock. You know, like some doors do, so that things aren't trapped like people or underwear.
It's very unlikely. Yeah, you wouldn't want any people being trapped in there.
Certainly not. Imagine if you put a cat in there or something. You can get it out. It'd be the worst of all.
Had a bunch of PCP with James Reed and
you like came to quite quickly. So you're like, I'm just going to put him in a wee tumble dry just to dry him off because he fell in the pool. And then you're like, this is a bad idea. So you turn it off and you unplug it, but the fucking cat's still trapped in there. Oh, real horror story.
At least it'd have clean underwear to wear. The
feelers.
But what I was going to say as a sort of final thought, which we thought of, which was funny, was Zac Efron is very convinced of the notion that
I don't like you prefacing something by saying which we thought was funny.
Well, we did.
What was it?
Are you afraid it won't be funny now?
Yeah, I am. I am.
Sober light of day.
Very afraid of that.
That's quite a natural fear. That is what it is to go on stage with a new joke every time. It's when Zaccoli's convinced that all you need is like one track. He's like, all you need is one track, one song. And you can, and the reason for this logic is pretty much because
he says it's your ticket to everything.
Well, and the reason he believes this so firmly is because his friend Johnny Depp told him about the guy who invented Instagram and sold it for a bunch of money.
Yeah.
And so he's like, yeah, one track, it'll change everything. It's your ticket to anywhere.
Yeah.
Ticket to everything. And then just flash forward to Zaccoli at the airport walking up to the check-in for a flight to Ibiza saying, hello, I'm here for the flight to Ibiza. And they say, okay, have you got your ticket? And he goes, I sure do. And just takes out a smartphone and starts playing the song he's made. And like, sir, you absolutely cannot travel on the back of that song.
We're going to need to see some immigration papers.
No, you don't understand.
Terrible.
Goes up to the lotto desk after a $27 million Powerball and says, I believe you have something of mine.
You want to know? I'm not indulging that thought, Guy. Do you know what's occurred to me?
I watched you tune out, think of something interesting to say yourself, and then re-enter the room.
Something came to me. I didn't go looking for it. It found me.
Man, you need to take some improv lessons from the fucking heroes in this movie, because that was savage.
I'm so sorry I left you out in the cold there. But what I want to say is, it's funny because the shit track that he plays at James Reed's house to he and Sophie when James Reed's got the massive hangover after the PCP party, that's a better track than the one he actually ends the movie on. If he played that at Summerfest, I'd be like, well, it's cheesy, but yep, that's a EDM track.
I still think he should have just played U2's Beautiful Day.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
And taken outright credit for it. All the young gyrating tweens wouldn't have known the band.
No, they're too young for you two.
Whoa, this is experimental.
And he starts going by the stage name Vono Box, just to fuck with him.
I still maintain that Beautiful Day is like undeniably a fire hot track that
I'll deny it then. I'll take the fucking bait.
Cannot fail to uplift any person.
It's just, I think
the heart is a globe. I think that's the line.
There's a lot of lines in that song, and half of them are probably whoa, whoa.
No, you're singing Elevation. A mole digging in a hole. Great job. Great fucking job. You didn't write a lyric. You were watching a David Attenborough documentary, falling asleep. You woke up and thought you had an idea.
See, now, Bono Vox is a man who gets struck by inspiration, quickly writes it down, releases it to a record label, and it actually makes some money. Yeah. He's a dude who that comes together
You'll even notice in that anecdote, though, he slept on the idea.
That's a good point. Even he's got the edge to check his working.
Let's take it to the edge. Do you reckon that's what the edge's wife says before they have sex?
I hope so. I hope that kind of stuff is happening I hope I live on a planet where that kind of stuff's happening. The Edge from U2, his spouse still hasn't got over the fact that his stage name is The Edge and is cracking real terrible puns before coitus just for a laugh. And definitely for herself. He's not enjoying it either. He's just
God.
Fucking hell, Martha. I thought we were past this. We went to couples counselling on the 80th time you rolled this out. It's worth it
for Martha because of how deeply it tickles her. It's the funniest thing.
And he agreed.
His frustration is part of the humour.
He agreed when they were in the trust nest that she gets some liberties because he's always on tour and a relationship is about give and take.
Absolutely.
So that's the compromise. The Edge is allowed to go on tour with his little mate Bono and all the other little U2ers.
Who are the other members of U2?
Who fucking knows? Who knows? I'd hate to be them. It's not even one of those bands where everyone knows the front man and no one else. You got Bono and The Edge and some other guys.
I'm thinking of Bono and The Edge coming off stage after a gig and the bass player and the guitarist like, hey, awesome gig, Bono and The Edge. And they're like, hey, yeah, thanks, guys.
Bono and The Edge don't know.
Yeah, cheers. Boys, we'll see you in the lobby in the morning.
With lyrics like a mole digging in a hole, I actually wouldn't put it past Bono that he has coasted on dude and bro and man for the other two band members this entire time. He has to carry around an album with him the whole time so he can look in the liner notes to remember what their names are. They're so infrequently spoken. All right, great job out there. Brian? It's Ryan. Oh, fuck, I don't have my specs on.
I heard tell that at one gig at Hyde Park, Bono sang every song off of the liner notes. Just he was singing it from the sleep notes of a cassette. A cassette of Boy. Look, I think it's a good place to leave it.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Hey, well, the next few you're going to be coming to us via satellite in Aussie.
Yeah. I'm going to be...
something to look forward to.
I'm going to...
tell the people of Aussie we are,
I'm
mate.
going to update my comedy website, which is available at guymontcomedy.com with all of the dates. But I'm going on the Melbourne International Comedy Festival Roadshow.
God, bravo for that.
We're going,
URL as well.
Oh, mate, it's a Piper, not URL. Big shout out to Will Vink, by the way. Fan of the podcast. Very good friend of mine who actually built the website. It's a fucking sexy looking website.
It is. Vouch for that.
But yeah, I'm going through like all weird small Australian towns. So if you're in them, I'll put the info up there. East Coast towns: Ballarat, Bendigo, Ararat.
They really sound made up, don't they?
They do sound like not real places.
Just going to grab a train out to Wollongong. It's like, this is a fucking kid's book name.
That's a good
Who
fun
you going to
name.
visit out there? Dr. Zeus? Come on. The Feelers. I'm done. Do you want any more details on there, Guy?
I'm just so happy.
I want to acknowledge the hard work of our sponsors, and by hard work I mean hard money of our sponsors. Big Pipe again. If you're in New Zealand, get them. Otherwise, we'll see you real soon on probably the Friend Zone. I love you, and we're going to go out on that just bloody excellent track that Christopher Brown has made for us. So long, farewell. We must be on our way.
Off you to saying goodbye. You gonna play that dastardly intro again?
Ow! This movie's still fine.
There's a collie pasta.
One of them dies, that goes screw. One of them's a hottie, his name is Jay. One of them looks like Johnny Depp, and his name is Johnny Depp.
Classic Maximum Joseph.
You forget that films are supposed to have a point.